I've just watched a really interesting video by Bruce Durrell of Red Gardens in Ireland, and I thought rather than leave a comment, I would do a video in response, because we both have an interest and a passion in growing food, and this particular video is about runner beans. So in this video I'm going to talk about runner beans. Welcome back, friends, welcome back to the homestead. Hi Bruce. This video really is, like I said, a response to your video in runner beans. If you're not familiar with Bruce's channel, then definitely go and check it out and subscribe. Bruce does a fantastic job in sharing his knowledge and wisdom and the risk of experimentation in what he does, and he shares the results with the YouTube community, and so people like myself and others can benefit from that. And we both, I guess, have a passion for experimentation, and I love what Bruce does, and thank you for the effort that you put into your videos, Bruce. If you know me at all, you know that I've only really been growing food this is my 4th year now, so perhaps I don't have a lot of experience, with one notable exception, and that's runner beans, which is why I decided to make the video. Runner beans is a vegetable that I've liked and been involved with, I guess, since a child. I have childhood memories of either picking up my granddad's, growing my granddad, or us going out to pick your own fields and then coming home and slicing them and freezing them and eating them. I wasn't a great fan of greens, as many children are, but I do remember eating runner beans, and ever since then I've tried to grow a few wherever I've been when it's been possible. So I thought what I'd do is just speak to some of the points that Bruce raised, and to give some feedback in terms of what we do here. Our climates are different, but not too dissimilar. Certainly what Bruce has done is overwintered his runner beans, which we could possibly do here, but certainly we would struggle a bit more because our winters are considerably colder than those in Ireland, and our growing season is somewhat shorter. That's why whilst his beans were flowering a couple of months ago, ours are now flowering and fruiting just now. So that's another big difference. But so the main premise of the video was that the beans had stopped growing, and Bruce explored some of the different points and some of the variables involved as to why that might have happened. So making some comparisons, there are some definite comparisons, equal comparisons between what was going on over there in Ireland and what was going on here. I've got one notable difference, which I will keep till a bit later on, that I've been trying and experimenting with here, and maybe that's something, Bruce, you'd want to do over there as well. We'll see. Talk about that in a minute. So points that raised, so basically this is my trellis, my setup. There's 3 different types of beans here, 2 runner beans, one Greek climbing bean, which I won't include in this analysis. But there was something that happened with the Greek beans last year which made me think more about the runner beans this year. So what was the first point was about pollination. I'm not sure that pollination is very contextual. Some of the problems that we've had here in regard to trusses not fully pollinating. For example, this truss only has 1 bean on. This truss has, at the moment, 4 or 5. Some of the others have the same. We also have the same not problem, but phenomenon, where a few first beans pollinate and then there's a massive gap, and no other flowers pollinate either. So there's nothing particularly different there. We've got beehives over there, so we have our own bees and pollinators who are around all the time. Plenty of bumblebees as well, always about. So I don't think, certainly for us, pollinators are a real problem, and yet we still experience the same things as you have. Some of the trusses do have an exceptional amount, maybe 10 beans, but that is the exception rather than the rule. Most of them are about 6 or 7, same as you mentioned. So that's pollination. In terms of competition, just hit through here, I've got sweet corn growing, no more than 2 feet away, half a metre. Quite a hungry plant, requires a lot of nitrogen, and possibly the beans don't seem to be suffering at all. I've always grown beans in the same place without an issue, so I don't think it's to do with a lack of feed or minerals or anything like that, and certainly the sweet corn look really healthy as well. In terms of temperatures, we grow all our runner beans outside. We did have a hot period in June, but the beans were really low, they hadn't even started then, whereas yours, I don't know about your climate, but certainly ours, we get a really hot kind of June, and then the temperatures cool off a little bit to what it's about 23, 24 today. But certainly our temperatures, high temperatures, got 30, 35 in June time. So those are normally gone by the time the beans are flowering. So make of that what you will, really. But that's an possible interesting comparison. But again, we're still left with the same issues. Well, it's not really an issue, but it is what it is. And then I think you mentioned about the variety. We have 2 varieties here. One is a local variety, which is called Rotbuchunder, which I think is just a translation of runner bean. And they sell it here as it's called flower bean. And interestingly, a lot of shops put runner beans into the flower section because it's called a flower bean, and I know that's what the Victorians used to grow them for, was the flowers, but here you still buy runner beans from the flower section, which drove me a bit nuts when I first moved here, searching high and low for runner beans, because what I mentioned earlier, I've always grown them wherever I've been. So and then the other variety I've got a prize winner, which I managed to get the seeds from in Sweden. I've just been editing the video and having a look at the end, and I realised that actually the prize winners variety with this side of the centre pole, and the Pulkapulpinus, which is the local name for runner beans, flower beans, is on this side, and they were both sown at the same time, but these are definitely, the prize winners are definitely cropping much heavier than the local variety. So that's worth bearing in mind. So that's prize winner. So that brings me on to the one thing that I have tried differently this year, and that is last year when I grew these Greek beans over there on a what is effectively a hop frame, these vigorously sent out other runners, shoots, whatever you want to call them. And I think that they put a lot of energy into those shoots, more than they did growing the actual beans. So this year I made a big point of making sure that I snipped all them off, and that may have encouraged the plant to do more, but it's certainly got a lot more beans on it now than it did last year. And is it a result of doing that? I'm not sure, but last year I didn't grow hardly any beans. I think all the energy went into growing all the extra shoots. So I've made a big point this year of cutting off the shoots, and I've been doing that on the runner beans as well, because our season is so short here. We don't have a lot of time to let it sprawl everywhere and give us the beans, particularly if we want to save the seeds and let them dry on the pods. We're now in the first week of August, so there's not a long, and we potentially could get a frost in first week of September or middle of September. So not a lot of time left, considering I'm only going to be picking the first beans today. So I've been cutting the shoots off on most of these beans as well. It's the first time I've done it, and I'm going to see whether that improves the pollination rate of some of the higher trusses, to see if I get more, a higher average bean count per truss. And what I'll do is feed that back to you at a later date. This plant's the exception really, where it's only got one plant climbing up. I'm going to allow a second one because it hasn't produced many beans further down below. I need to decide which one, so I'll always allow the deeper one where I find them. And cut this off here because there's already one going further down below. And then permit the other one to keep climbing up. So that's the real big difference, I guess, between what I'm doing here and maybe what you're doing there. And yeah, I hope you found that of some interest. If you want to know about Bruce's channel, then I'll put a link either up here or certainly down in the description below. Check out his channel, like I say, and give it a subscribe, watch some of his videos. They're absolutely fascinating, and we've exchanged comments before. We both have been interested in making our own tools to improve the work we do, and he's got a video on that as well. Give us a thumbs up if you liked anything in this video at any point. Give us a subscription, a sub if you'd like to know more about what we're doing here, and check out the other videos on our channel. Thanks for watching, and have a great summer, have a great harvest, enjoy runner beans, grow some if you don't, or next year now, and I'll see you in another video. Bye for now.